Um, as we went through this, as the season started winding down, the one place that I did not want to have to go was Green Bay. And that game really bothered me, or I was worried about it as we were looking how the matchups could play out. And I think that Green Bay is just an unbelievably good offensive team. And here in this building, it's hard to beat them. And I thought, as good as we'd been playing, that this was the one game that I just didn't want to see. And, of course, it turned out this was a team that we had to play. I thought our guys, considering the black cloud that just seems to be hanging over us, bad things just keep happening to us late in years with injuries, and, the things that have happened over the last few years, one-point losses and that, again, Brad tried to play. He really couldn't. And then I was stupid, and I put him in at the end and ran a play to him so he could get one last shot in his career, because I just felt so bad for him that he really couldn't play. And he caught it and made a move and twisted the back. He's in agony in there right now. He can't even move. And I feel bad about that I got, trying to do something nice to get him a shot. But to lose two starters like we did, to come in here, I thought we played really hard. I thought we couldn't make shots, but we had it right where we wanted it. We made a very bad mental mistake at the end of the first half on a play that we were supposed to run. That it was a play that we'd saved all year for a situation like this, and we had a two for one in that. It was our ball to end the half in a tie game, and then we get the ball to start the second half. And so I thought it was really important. I called timeout, I ran it, and a kid didn't do what he was supposed to do. And instead of getting a layup, which I would have bet, if I could bet, I would have bet that we were going to get a layup. And then we came out in the second half. We got 4 straight stops to start the second half, and I think that's where the game was lost. We had 3 shots right at the rim and missed all 3. We made a 3 and had 3 shots right at the rim that we normally make. And we should have been up 9 to start the second half, and I think it's a different ball game. And they got a couple transition shots and started getting their confidence. And in the long run, in their building, they were just too good in transition for us on a night that we couldn't make shots. And you can't win tournament basketball if you can't make shots.
Coach, when you look back on this season, you guys were left for dead a couple of different times, but in the end, you were able to cobble together some wins and get yourself in a position to host a tournament game. I mean, your ability, or your non-ability to make shots certainly hurt you all season long, but when you wrap it all up, you guys gave every ounce they had, didn't they?
Yeah, we got really good down the stretch because Rashad started understanding our offense, and because Xavier was a man the last month of the season. Xavier was a double-double every night, and they put 4 guys on him tonight and just left us wide open, and we couldn't make them. And, you're not going to win in that situation. They gambled and said, here, see if you can make them, and we couldn't. The reason that we played so well down the stretch with Brad and Xavier were, our seniors played extremely well, and Rashad figured out what we were doing. I do think Kangu played a pretty good game tonight, considering, his battles all year. Lampman, who had really couldn't make a shot the last month, once we got behind and the game was over, started making them, and that just goes to speak to our mental toughness and where we're at. And that's what freshmen and sophomores go through. We have 15 players on our roster, 1 senior, 2 seniors, 1 junior, and 5 sophomores and 7 freshmen. And 10 of those 15 had never played Division I basketball until this year. Actually, I think it's 11 of the 15 maybe had never played Division I basketball. No, it's 10. So to see the ups and downs of the season, and, I'm pleased with the way it finished and ended. I'm really happy with how that we were able to win our last 5 home games and play so well in a tournament game at home. And there's hope for the future, obviously, with all that kind of youth and what they're learning through this. But when you lose a game and your season ends, it's always devastating. And, your locker room's devastated right now. Your seniors are done. They'll never play again. They're devastated. And so it's really hard to talk about the future or that.
right now, just because you feel so bad for Brad and X. You know, Coach, when you look at it too, that finality of I heard analysts talk about that. You know, when is that moment? That moment seems to hit you like a ton of bricks landing on your head, doesn't it? Well, when X fouled out, and Rashad was having a really tough night shooting the ball. He shot his third straight air ball. That's when I let some of those freshmen that weren't getting a chance to play get a couple minutes, and even though it was still only 15 or 16 points, I wanted to give them a couple minutes because basically, Brad couldn't go even though I put him out there, and X was done with the fifth foul. And it was funny because he couldn't even come to grips with the fact that he was out of the game. He wanted them to go to the monitor to show that he hadn't fouled, what I mean? Really, no, X, that's not a rule. We're not going to be able to do that. But I didn't foul him, and, so some of the things the fans don't see, or, if you've never been in that locker room or you've never been in when the seniors are done, especially guys that have meant so much to us like Brad and X have meant to us over, 5 years. And it's like I told them, they both have championship rings. They both have first place rings in the Horizon League, but neither one ever played in an NCAA tournament. And that will be a scar on my heart the rest of my life, that I couldn't get those two kids to the NCAA tournament. And that's not rhetoric or coach talk, that's just the truth, I couldn't do it. And I'm their coach, and I recruited them, and I wanted them here, and I've loved them, and we've hated each other, we've loved each other, we've gone through everything that a coach-player relationship is about. And when push came to shove, the one thing that they wanted the most, I couldn't get them. And I'll be, 10 years after I retire, if I'm still alive, I'll never forget tonight. I mean, this is just a scar that won't go away. And that's what we're dealing with on a night like this.
And then finally, Coach, what was your initial reaction when you found out Trey Maddox was not even going to be able to come to the arena tonight? When you knew what the situation was going to be with Brad Brechting, you battle this whole season and you fight your way back and you get the home tournament game, and you're going to be walking in under man. What was that feeling like?
Well, I didn't even let it affect my thinking. I didn't want, if I show the team any little bit of doubt or anything like that, we got 40 minutes, and at Oakland, there's 10 or 11 guys wearing an Oakland uniform here, and we got 40 minutes to win a game. We can't show any sign of anything about guys that aren't here. It's the guys that are here that we had. Now, did it limit us offensively in our package? Yes. Did it? We took two starters out of the lineup. Although I guess Brad did start. He tried to play a couple minutes and we got him out right away. But, obviously it's going to affect us, but I couldn't show that. And, like I told him in the locker room before the game, all year long we've talked about you got to be prepared and you got to be ready, and every player on this team's important, and we talk about that all year. All 15 of guys are important, and you never know what's going to happen, and you got to be ready. And so we just stayed with that theme. Obviously 2 weeks from now, when I crawl out of the hole I'm going to go into and see the sun again and start worrying about the future, I'm going to think how unfair it was for Brad and X, and, all the thoughts that go through your mind, because I'm human, because I want it so bad for those kids. And I'm going to wonder why. Why do we keep, 2 years ago we had one of the best teams I was ever going to have, and we lost 5 kids to injury, 3 starters, and, you got Kendrick Nunn, who's going to be the rookie of the year in the league, and we didn't get X and Brad to the tournament then. So you've got all those things on your mind that just kill you, and I got to deal with that for the next few weeks, and then eventually we're going to have June 23rd. The Team 54 will report. We'll know who we have, and we'll start prepping and doing everything we can for that team, and Kangu will be our only senior, but it will be prepping for trying to get to the NCAA tournament. Well, that's not true, because there's one team in the Horizon League that it will end very happy for, and they'll get to cut the nets down, and that's what makes this game such a great basketball game, or such a great game, that you battle your tails off, and somebody's going to get a chance to cut those nets down from our league, And then we're going to sit there and watch the NCAA tournament, and I'm going to cheer as hard as I can for whoever that is and hope that they go and win 4 games in the NCAA tournament. Because, now we become fans of the league. We were Oakland fans until today. Now we're done, and now we're fans of the league. We want our league to be great. And I hope whoever it is, I hope they, if whatever of those 4 teams that are going there, I hope whoever it is wins as many games in the NCAA tournament as they can that represent this league. All right.